Why do I always wear a suit when I do these? It's been so long now, I don't remember why. It's one of those things. It's just like, time to talk about One Piece. Gotta put on my suit. I'm like, all right, yeah, sure, okay. Anyway, this will be One Piece chapter. Yeah, that was the intro for this week. I got nothing else. Pick your favorite color. Tell me your favorite color and post it in the comments down below. It will be relevant later in the review. Or maybe it won't be. I don't know. But we'll find out together, you know? Alright, One Piece chapter 1106 review titled On Your Side. And the cover page is Robin dressing up a crocodile. Not crocodile. That would be really funny. That would be hilarious if Robin and Crocodile went shopping together, also given the fact that they used to work together. You know, it's like, hey, Crocodile, it's been forever. I know you literally tried to murder me last time that, you know, we saw one another, but let's go on a shopping montage. And then it's Crocodile and Robin shopping montage. You know, Crocodile's trying on all these threads. Hey, you can say one thing about Crocodile, and that is the dude has a sense of fashion, because he does. All right? And then there's moments where Robin is like, no, and then yes, and then like, yeah, they're walking through town together, and they're super, you know, stylish and everything. No, it's an actual crocodile, and it's wearing a shirt with La Costa written across it. I had to look this up because I had no idea what Oda was referencing. It's a French clothing company that I think originally just made like shirts, like sporting apparel and like footwear and stuff, because it was founded by a famous tennis player back at the beginning of like the 20th century, and it's called Lacoste. And I think it got bought by another company. It doesn't matter. I've been reading up about this French apparel company a lot this morning. Okay, that was the takeaway from this chapter, right? But anyway, their logo is a crocodile, so I could see what Oda did here. He just changed the name from Lacoste with ending with an E to an A, probably for like copyright reasons or whatever. But you know, it's a crocodile. He's got a surfboard. He's got a Lacoste shirt. He's got a cool anchor tattoo, so I guess he's a sailor. He's got some glasses. He's got like a handkerchief, like a scarf kind of thing. He's got a bow on his tail, and Robin is just like, yeah, that's style right there. Okay, that's high fashion. I would have really liked it for Crocodile himself to be in the background somewhere of this. This would have been awesome. Like Crocodile's just hanging out on the beach, or Crocodile was like the cashier the entire time. That would have been funny. All right. Any cover page that features Robin is already high tier, okay? I should do a Oda like cover page ranking video. That would take forever, but there's an idea. Okay, so we continue where we left off. I guess, actually, because, like, in the end of the last chapter, we had the Marine ship heading out to exterminate the evacuation vessel. Remember, the timelines on all this are kind of wacky. The evacuation vessel left the day before, and then Saturn says, you know, I have sent a Marine ship to gun down the evacuation vessel. It's like, all right, but did he send that ship just now, like when the Buster Call was started, or did he send that ship like yesterday? Because otherwise it's going to take a while to catch up. But at either rate, we saw that Marine vessel being destroyed by an unknown party somewhere out at sea. And the big question was, who was it? Was it Shanks? Was it Blackbeard? Was it the Cross Guild? Was it somebody else? Was it Whitebeard back from the grave? Was it the Straw Hat Grand Fleet? Was it Neomads? Well, the real answer was, it was none of those parties. Ah! Which means anybody that placed money on Foxy, congratulations. Head over to the cash office to collect your winnings. There you go. It was actually Foxy the whole time. No. But the chapter does open up with the ship of those that did destroy that Marine battleship heading toward Egghead. And they say, wow, they're really going at it. Yeah, it's just like the newspaper said. So this is important to know, that the events on Egghead have been, you know, published in the World Economic Times and have been scattered all over the world, because everything going on there has been happening for well over a day at this point, right? So the 24-hour news cycle is going on at the moment, right? Morgan's is printing out special editions out the wazoo, right? Okay, so it makes it even funnier, by the way, we're going to find out who they are at the end of the chapter, but we kind of have this one hint at the beginning, right? It's a very large vessel arriving at Egghead. Wonder who it could be. But if this is in the newspaper, that's what a lot of people thought, like it was going to be the Grand Fleet. The Grand Fleet, we're going to all see it in the newspaper and be like, Luffy needs us, and then they're going to go. So it's not them. I mean, I guess they could still show up. They could show up like a day or two after the fact. That would be kind of funny. But, you know, we're going to find out who they are at the end of the chapter. I'm not going to spoil that quite yet. So, we're back on Egghead right in front of the vending machine. Luffy has just consumed, like, you know, 10 times his body mass in food, all right? So he's, like, there, and he's surrounded by Marines. Now, at first, software update has been completed. Restart the tablet to apply updated software. No, I'm reviewing a chapter here, okay? But no. So let me give you a scenario here. I originally was gonna give some shit to these Marines. They're like, the Marines are all just standing around Luffy. Luffy's like incapacitated on the ground, like, man, that was some good pizza, right? And they're like, bring him in, men! All right, seriously though, you have one of the emperors on the ground in front of you that has just consumed a bunch of food. Do you want to be the first dude to go over there and try to bring him in? I'm just saying. It's like, all right, everybody, we have the Emperor Straw Hat Luffy surrounded. Yep, we certainly do, Bill. It's like, yep, we really do. So, how about you go and throw some Sea Prism cuffs on that guy? It's just like, yeah, how about you do that, Bill? You're the commanding officer. That's right, I'm the commanding officer, so why don't you go do it? All right, no, how about you? No, you're not doing it either. Okay, that's great. We'll just stand here and just point our guns and just hopefully nothing bad will happen, you know? That's fair. I mean, are you gonna go close to Luffy? And one of the Marines is even like, dude, if we get close to him, he might just eat us. And it's just like, you know what? That is a legitimate concern. That is not a Marine just being goofy, like trying to come up with an excuse. Like, yeah, I would go and put some Sea Prism cuffs on him, but he might eat me. No, Luffy might actually eat you. That could totally happen. All right, he's never used that. I mean, he has actually tried that before with Crocodile, the Gumu Gumu no Baku Baku. But he could, in theory, just, you know, devour another human being and then digest them in his body. Like, that is a technique that Luffy could do. Maybe it's a little too seinen for a shonen manga, but he could definitely do that, all right? So what I'm saying here is, if I was part of these Marines, and these are not like high-ranking Marines, I don't think these are the Vice Admirals or anything like that. I mean, maybe there is a Vice Admiral here, I don't see him. But even if you were a Vice Admiral, you going close to that? Are you going close to this? I don't think you are, all right? So Luffy's on the ground and he's like, that was a good meal. All right, time to digest. And then, like, he just compresses all the food, digests it all at once, and then, you know, that of course, that's when the Marines decide, like, all right, fire! And then, like, a giant shell hits close to them because the island is being bombarded. I don't even know why these Marines are still dedicated to their job because they're being attacked by a Buster Call right now. But then a shell hits them, the whole area goes on fire. It's just like, whatever, pull it together, man. We can bring them in. Let's just go. Like, on the count of 3, let's just all jump Luffy and just throw Sea Prism on him. 3, 2, 1. I thought you were going to start at 1. No, I thought I was going to start at 3. Oh, God! And then that's when Luffy activates Gear 5th. And, I mean, he probably doesn't kill them because he's Luffy. Probably just seriously maims them, maybe knocks them all out. And then they are subsequently murdered by the ongoing Buster Call. So those Marines are probably dead, is what I'm trying to say here. But at any rate, yeah, the island is just being blasted over and over again. The Vice Admirals on the ship are just like, keep blasting. When you see fire, fire into the fire, you know, and when you make more fire, destroy that fire. Like, that's a Buster Call. Just constant bombardment. Even after you're pretty damn sure you've destroyed everything on the island, keep firing, okay? If anything twitches, you fire, okay? So, we now have Kuma holding Bonnie. They're falling out of the sky after the capsule was sliced by Kizaru. Sanji's also there, jumping into the sky to help them. Frankie and Atlas are also falling down. So you have all of the Mark III pacifistas on the ground, aiming their laser cannons up, about to just rain down and just bombard and kill Kuma and Bonnie. That's who they're aiming at, right? That's Saturn specifically is like, shoot down this pathetic family once and for all. You know, they're shooting them down, and Vegapunk, the Stella, at the last minute is like, Atlas, come in, tell Bonnie. And then Atlas is like, okay, and then she goes over. I have no idea how they're hearing any of this, given the fact that there's just a war zone going on around them, just constant explosions. I don't know how anybody is hearing anything here. But at any rate, you know, it's like, Atlas, come in, Quasar. Tell Bonnie about the secret plan. And then Atlas is like, okay, Stella, if you think so. And so Atlas goes over and tells Bonnie something. And then Bonnie is just like, Bonnie has the expression on her face of like, that was a thing the entire time? Okay. Daddy, please don't fire the lasers at us. Help us escape the island? And then the Mark IIIs are like, they can also receive this, they can hear this. I don't, once again, explosions everywhere. I don't know how they're hearing this, but like, all right. Recalibrating. Initiating fatherly protocol. Boom, boom, boom. And then they just start unloading. Awesome double-page spread where you see the Mark IIIs just once again changing sides. I think this is like the third or fourth time this has happened. And they start unloading on all the Marines around the island that are bombarding them, right? So even the Marines that are witnessing it are like, hey, did you hear them say something? I don't know. There's too many explosions I can't hear. So, I mean, they're pacifistas. Maybe they have special hearing. I don't know. But anyway, yeah, all of the ships are getting bombarded. At least 3 or 4 of them just get destroyed immediately from the pacifistas' laser beams. So all that's happening. A lot of double pages in this chapter as well, right? So that's all happening. And so last chapter, when Vegapunk was observing Bonnie and Kuma falling down and all the Mark IIIs about to kill them, he said that he was thinking to himself, he was like, this is something that keeps me up at night. The idea that since Bonnie became a pirate and Kuma, you know, was changed into the pacifista, you know, not just the pacifista Mark Zero, pacifista Zero, PX Zero, but also all the other pacifistas, you know, Vegapunk was worried that like at some point these pacifistas were going to chase down Bonnie and kill her. And that would mean that Bonnie would be murdered by her own father, or a robot that looks exactly like her father. And also vice versa, it would mean that Kuma's image was used to kill his daughter. Which Kuma, of course, would have, like, you know, would have been so disdainful over that, right? So Vegapunk was like, all right, listen. Even if it costs me my life, even if it results in all of my life's work being eliminated, I am not going to program this into the pacifistas. I'm just not gonna do that. The ultimate authority when it comes to the pacifistas will be with Jory Bonnie. So it goes anybody with the authority chip on the bottom, then it goes Sentomaru, then it goes Vegapunk and the satellites, then it goes the Gorosei, and then at the very top, even above the 5 Elder Stars, is Jory Bonnie. And I love this because this is something that I have been saying and a lot of people have been saying ever since this whole hierarchy thing was explained. Why didn't Vegapunk just lie to Saturn and program something else in there? Now, we had a throwaway line from Saturn a little while ago that was like, I'm something of a scientist too, you silly Billy. If you program something that I'm unaware of, then you'll die. You know, so the idea is like Saturn could check. But I'm always like, I think Vegapunk's a better scientist than Saturn. I think there's a way he could program something in there where he wouldn't know. You know what I mean? And in this case, he actually did succeed, right? So we've never actually seen Bonnie come up against a pacifista before this arc. That would have actually been really fascinating if she did encounter a pacifista at Sabaody or something. And then she's like, no, don't attack, please. And then the pacifista's like, yeah, okay. And then just walks away. And then Bonnie's like, huh? What happens? Maybe that did happen, because we don't really know everything that happened at Sabaody. Although I think the first time that Bonnie saw a pacifista was at Egghead. I think that was the first time she actually came face to face with one of them, and they had the image of her father, like when we saw that policeman Kuma. Actually, just in one of the most recent episodes of the anime, we saw that. So, yeah, I don't think she ran into a pacifista at Sabaody, but if she would have, then maybe this would have been relevant then. Who knows? But anyway, yeah. So Vegapunk was like, it doesn't matter if it results in the end of my life or whatever, I will not have Bonnie be murdered by her own father. That is a line, not even a line in the sand. That is a line in the tungsten. That is the line in the adamantium that I will not cross, Quasar. You know what I mean? And so that is just Vegapunk thinking about that to himself, about what happened. And so Atlas told Bonnie, like, hey, you can command the pacifistas. And Bonnie's like, are you messing with me? Or, okay, stop. Holy shit, it actually worked. Okay, cool. So in response to that, we now have a scene after Vegapunk is done thinking about this. Saturn has taken his spider appendage and has just stabbed Vegapunk right through the chest. It actually seems like he's getting stabbed right through his lung, so that's not good. And I love how Vegapunk is like, I knew this would have consequences, Quasar! And so he's about to die, and it's like, okay, so a couple of things here. The way that this is worded seems to be like this was the thing that Saturn finally decided, this is the final straw, it's time for you to die. But I'm pretty sure Saturn had already decided to kill Vegapunk. You know, from all the other times in the last few chapters where he said, I'm here to kill Vegapunk. You know, like, so it was like, was this the final straw? Like, Saturn was like, well, I wasn't 100% on board with killing you, but now I am. Like, he could have done that the whole time, I guess. I don't know, like, you know, there was a couple of opportunities for this, but now Saturn is livid. We get a close-up of his face, and he's all veiny, and his eyes are all bloodshot, just like, Vegapunk, how dare you program something against my will? This was the final straw, I tells ya. And then he stabs Vegapunk, and it's sad, and Frankie is upset, and, you know, they're all like, no, Vegapunk, no! We are really losing Vegapunks as of late, seriously. Look at this color wheel of all the different Vegapunks. See, that's where your favorite color came in handy. All right, so here's the deal, right? Shaka is dead, and Pythagoras is dead. York is a traitor, which basically means she's as good as dead. And now the Stella might be dead. So, yeah, we're only down to 3 Vegapunks. Man, this is the reason why Oda had to introduce 7 Vegapunks, because it's like a body count in a horror movie. We are really losing Vegapunks quick, alright? Well, anyway, if your favorite color was purple for Lilith, green for Edison, or pink for Atlas, congratulations, you're still in the game! I think Atlas is gonna die at some point, but as long as Edison makes it out okay for the sake of him being a tiny little robot guy, and as long as Lilith makes it out okay on account of her having cake and whatnot, I'm okay with this arc, okay? Kinda wish Shaka would've made it, he was pretty neat, but, you know. A lot of people have also brought up, like, what happens if Punk Records is destroyed? Like, what happens if Punk Records is just obliterated? Does that mean all of the Vegapunks instantly go brain dead? I don't think it would, because it's like they're syncing to Punk Records every day to, like, upload their knowledge. I think even if Punk Records was destroyed, that would be obviously a huge loss for the world, but Lilith and Edison would still be able to function, and they would still have Vegapunk's, you know, mind. It's just that they wouldn't be able to store it anywhere at the end of the day. So I guess that means at the end of the day, Lilith's brain would end up growing huge. Oh, that's another question, too. Vegapunk's the one that ate the brain fruit, the main body. But then he kind of cloned himself? Because they're all Vegapunks. They're just different aspects of his personality. So, does Lilith have the brain fruit? Does Edison have it? Do all the Vegapunks have the brain fruit? And more importantly, if the Stella is killed, does it reincarnate? I'm assuming it would. I'm assuming it's something similar where, like, Boa Hancock has the real Love fruit, and if she were to die, that fruit would reincarnate, but S. Snake also has the Love fruit through the green blood. So maybe the brain fruit is also synthetically replicated through the 6 satellites. So those are just the copies of the brain fruit. But if the main body, the Stella, were to actually die here, I hope he doesn't. I really hope that Vegapunk survives this. They have Chopper, he might be able to save them, and they have the replacement organs in the lab. So there's a lot of different options here for Vegapunk to survive. Even if he punctured a lung and destroyed it, it'd be like, we need an artificial lung. Oh, there's one, that was easy, okay. And then, you know, Vegapunk can be saved by Chopper transplanting the organ or something, right? But yeah, even if Punk Records is destroyed, I don't think all the Vegapunks are just gonna, like, die immediately. I don't think that's how that works. Anyway, so Saturn is really mad, so he's like, Kizaru, eliminate them and be quick about it. Kind of already gave this order like 3 other times, but this time I'm peeved. And so Kizaru is just like, yeah, okay. And so he zips up and uses Yasakani no Magatama. It's basically just like an energy barrage attack. Now, something interesting in this scene. So Atlas gets hit by it, Franky gets hit by it, Sanji does get hit by it, but he does kick one of the lasers. So, like, a bunch of lasers are coming at him. You know, Sanji manages to kick one of them and deflect it, but then he also gets punctured by, like, 3 others. He was also protecting Kuma. That is also important to mention. He was protecting Kuma, who was protecting Bonnie. So maybe Sanji, with his observation hockey, could have dodged all of the lasers if he wanted to, but if he would have done that, then Kuma and Bonnie would have gotten killed. So obviously, Sanji's gonna throw himself in front of Bonnie to make sure she doesn't get hit by the lasers. So maybe it's like Sanji's like, okay, I got 6 lasers coming at me. I can't dodge because they'll hit Kuma and then hit Bonnie. I can deflect one of them with a kick, but I'm taking like 5 more of these. Oh well. See you on the other side, yo mom, and then just like Sanji goes to like kick the laser and gets punctured. Franky gets plugged pretty bad, Atlas same way, and they all kind of get hit. So Kizaru then zips past everybody, takes out his light sword, his lightsaber, and he's like, I'll make sure to kill you both in one attack. It won't hurt, Bonnie. It'll be okay. And then he just raises up his sword, about to just slice both of them down at the same time. Probably going for just like a decapitation, like right away. And so at that exact moment is when Luffy returns in Gear 5th, laughing his ass off like, boom! And then just punches Kizaru in the face with a hockey fist. It's not the same thing with the star gun or anything. It's not like Kizaru's face like warps. Just a really hard punch just hits him really hard in the face and gets him sent to flying down. And then Luffy's punch like winds back. And this is really important because this is the first time that Bonnie is actually seeing Luffy, I guess, in his full form of Gear 5th, because the other times that he was fighting in Gear 5th, she wasn't really, like, right up close to him when he did that. So this is the first time she's witnessing it. So, Luffy also changes the whole ground into rubber, so like a big bouncy house, which is what I was expecting of Gear 5th, the Awakening, like bouncy world or whatever. So when they all hit the ground, they're just boing, boing, so they're okay. I mean, they're pierced with laser beams, but ostensibly they're okay. We have a couple of shots here. So they get over to Vegapunk first of all. He's on the ground bleeding out. He's like, Quasar, I've lived a full life, you know? And so they're there. We also see the robot, the Iron Giant, so we're going to tie back into that. Every time Luffy goes Gear 5th, this thing apparently powers up a little bit, and now we see the thing actually moving a bit. We don't see it stand up or anything, but we see it kind of creaking and moving, and then we hear the drum beat of the sun god Nika. You know, Don Do Toto, Don Do Toto. You know, I need to get a drum. I need to get like a Donkey Kong bongo set or something. But anyway, yeah, the robot's beginning to like... It's starting to move again, so this thing might be getting back up at some point. Not sure how helpful it'll be able to do, because it's like 1,000 years old, and it's like, oh my god, a giant rusty robot is coming for us! It'll be here in 2 hours! You know, like, it's trying its best, you know, it's 1,000 years old, what do you want? So anyway, Vegapunk helps Bonnie connect the dots here on who Luffy is. And in this other double page spread that is beautiful, you see Luffy jumping around Egghead like, aha! You know, just like, you know, doing the Mario jump, which I realize it's very similar to the Mario jump now. It's like, Ate! You know, he's like jumping around. And so Vegapunk is like, you know, Bonnie, Straw Hat Luffy, who Kuma was like interested in. Turns out he's actually the sun god. Turns out he's Nika, like literally, you know? And so Bonnie is witnessing this, and going back to what Saturn said about Bonnie's Toshi Toshi no Mi, about the age fruit, and like the more you learn about the world, the less, you know, your powers are effective. This is going to revitalize that now. Bonnie is now aware the sun god does exist. He is real, and he's Luffy. And so now maybe she'll be able to use her Nika future ability again, and so Luffy and Bonnie can, like, you know, combo attack or something. Like, that would be a really cool way to end this arc, you know, with something like that, right? So, as Vegapunk is there bleeding out, dying. You know, he's like, a Buster Call is a tame problem for him. People all over the world have been awaiting his return for hundreds of years, and now it's here! So Vegapunk's basically saying, like, you can't stop this now. You cannot stop the waves of change and the waves of the future, you know? Luffy is here. He's awakened to his power. It doesn't matter. You could drop 10 Buster Calls on him. You could fire a giant laser cannon. You could sick every single Marine Admiral you ever had in the history of whatever. You're not stopping the Sun God now, all right? It just can't be stopped. It's like a bulldozer, you know? And so Bonnie is looking up and she begins to weep. We also see Kuma's body, the PX-0, on the ground. His face is like half melted, so he can't really express emotion anymore, but he's like looking up and just like scatting, Sun God detected. And I would love for Kuma's face to just be like, it's like that scene in T2 when Arnold has to smile and it's like, okay, like something like that where Kuma smiles like, Sun God. It's just like, okay. So, but that's nothing, okay? So Bonnie knows about, you know, Luffy being the Sun God, Nika, that's relevant. They all survive the fall. The giant robot's beginning to move. Luffy's back in Gear 5. He punches Kizaru. We do see Kizaru on the ground. He's not, like, unconscious or anything. He's just kind of like, ugh, come on, guys. Why do you gotta make this so difficult for me? You know, and so then that's nothing for the last scene of the chapter. Last double-page spread. We cut over to the northeast coast of Egghead. Remember, I went back and checked this. The northeast coast is the coast where they were going to leave originally. That's a straight shot to Elbaf. That was the original plan of getting the Sunny picked up with Vega Force 1 and then flying away northeast, okay? So Vega Force was destroyed, but we now have a giant Viking longship arriving. You know what? I'm gonna go grab it now. I'll be right back. Hold on. All right. In preparation, because I knew we were going to Elbaf eventually. Actual Viking sword! Well, I mean, not an actual Viking sword, because, you know, they're kind of rusty at this point, but I actually went to a Viking, exhibition last year, and they actually had a real Viking sword that you could kind of, like, hold. It was, I mean, all, like, decayed and rusted up, but it was actually a really cool experience, right? So, actual Viking sword! We have this giant longship, and when I say giant longship, I'm not talking about your run-of-the-mill giant longship. I'm talking about this thing is towering over these Marine warships, okay? Now, here's the thing you gotta understand. Giants in the One Piece world, right? The giant warrior pirates were like this huge force of terror a century ago, led by the blue ogre Dory, who's better, and the red ogre Broggy, who obviously is not as good as Dory. Dory, I'm just saying, if the duel's over, Dory won. I'm just saying. Okay, anyway, who are you picking for your favorite? And now you understand why they were just so terrifying. This is, like, honestly, think about it this way. The Marine battleships have all their modern equipment, all their guns and their sea prism coatings and all that kind of stuff, all the modern cannon equipment and stuff. And then you just have a relatively simple wooden longship, but it's massive. And it's just, you know, these other Marine ships are just being dwarfed by this thing, you know what I mean? Like, just the water current, the ocean currents alone pushed up by this thing would be enough to capsize all of these warships. And that is the power of the giant warrior pirates, ladies and gentlemen. The Marines just have a brief moment to say, I thought they died out 100 years ago, but it's no doubt it's them. What are they doing here? They're coming right for us. They're not stopping. They unleash a bunch of cannonballs at the ship, but this is nothing. This is literally nothing. This is like trying to bring down a modern-day battleship with a BB gun. You know what I mean? Like, it's not gonna work, okay? And then you see Dory and Broggy. They're actually asking why we're here, Dory. Don't they know that some things in this world can't be stopped? Gah-ba-ba-ba-ba-ba-ba! We're here to pick up Straw Hat. Gah, 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 gah. or should we call him the Sun God? And then you just see the last scene of the chapter where Dory and Bragi just take out their weapons, Dory's mighty sword and Bragi's mighty axe, and they're just hacking and slashing, just one-shotting these battleships, guys. They're just like taking out their axe and just boom, that's one battleship gone. Boom, that's another battleship gone, just like that. Like they're slicing into a cake, all right? That is the power of legends. Those are the giant warrior pirates. Okay, break next week. We got 3 chapters in a row, so I expected this to be a break week. But holy shit cakes, we're on the path now. We're on the road to Elbaf. Oh yeah, I love how the Giants are just showing up to pick them up too. It's just like, all right, Straw Hats, gubba-ba-ba-ba. Time to go to Elbaf. Here to pick you up. Get in the boat. Get in the boat, losers. We're going. You know, all right, time for Elbaf. Holy shit. All right. So, it wasn't anybody, I mean, I'm sure there were people that said maybe it's Dory and Bragi, but the common idea was that it was, you know, Shanks or the Cross Guild or something involving a Yonko or the Grand Fleet or Neomads. Turns out it's Dory and Bragi. Now, the last time we saw Dory and Bragi, Shanks was there as well. He was leaving Elbaf, so it could have been Shanks. But no, I don't think Shanks is there. I think it's just Dory and Bragi. I think Shanks left and went to some other location, and Dory and Bragi are currently present. And they're heading to Egghead, probably because they said they saw it in the newspaper that Luffy's there. And somebody, probably Shanks maybe, told them that Luffy is the Sun God. And the Giants worship the Sun God. We see that, or it's mentioned during, they don't mention Nika by name, but they say the Festival of the Sun. That's the whole reason they do the fasting. That was the whole reason Big Mom had to, you know, they ate the semla and then she went crazy and then attacked the village. Mother Caramel summoned Pandora, who was a homie made of fire, so it looked like the sun to like quell the Giants. There's a reason for all that, and that's because they literally worship the Sun God, who would be Nika, who is currently Luffy. So, you know what I think happened was, the big debate was what happened with the duel. You know, like Dory and Bragi were in this 100-year duel. Who won? Because there's no way they would have left Little Garden without their duel being resolved. And here's the thing. I think it could have. I think it's very likely that their duel has not been concluded yet, but something important enough happened for them to set aside their weapons for a brief respite, for them to go do some stuff. And then I think after this is all done, after Luffy finds the One Piece and all this shit has been resolved, they're gonna go back to Little Garden and they're gonna resume their duel, just like always. But for right now, I think they took a break from it because somebody went to Little Garden and somebody told them, Dory Bragi, this is an emergency, the Sun God is back. And then they're in the middle of fighting each other. Their weapons have been destroyed at this point. They're just fisticuffs on Little Garden. And then they just stop and they're just like, what? The Sun God has returned? Dory, you know what this means, right? Yeah, that's right, Bragi. All right. I think we should take a break from our duel. All right, then. And then they have like the most manly handshake ever that shakes the earth itself. And then they're like, all right, we have to go back home and deal with this. But I don't think their duel has been resolved, because I think it would be weird if it's like, well, who won the duel? And it's like, oh, Dory won. Oh, okay. It's like, oh, all right, I guess that was all there was to it, huh? It's like, yeah. No, I think the duel is still going on. They just had to take a break. So they have new weapons. We saw them when they sunk the Victoria Punk at Elbaf, but they have new weapons now because their old ones were destroyed. But they look very similar to the Terry sword and the Berserker axe, I think it was called. You know, not the Berserker armor. Oh my God, Bragi and the Berserker armor. That's something different. You know, but dude, it's good. You know what? I joke about that. But Odin, or Othin, in Norse mythology has basically like a treasure vault. He has a bunch of random tchotchkes that are magical. He has Gungir, which is the spear that always finds its mark. He has this multiplying ring. He has, of course, you know, his eye. Well, the whole thing with his eye was he traded his eye for wisdom, so he has the eye patch and everything like that. But, you know, he has a lot of gear, so to speak. So there might be some really cool, badass Elbaf Viking Norse armor or something that they could put on. Who knows, right? But anyway, yeah, they're here. And they are gonna be the support that they need. It was originally Vega Force 1 that was gonna pick them up and leave. Well, now, I mean, it's basically the same thing. You have a giant Viking longship. Like Dorian Broggy can just go and like pick up the Sunny, toss it on the ship, and like, all right, everybody, let's go. And then they're gonna get out of there. So with Dorian Broggy's assistance, I think the Strats are gonna escape no problem, right? Oh man, it's nice to see Dorian Broggy again, though. I mean, it was cool to see him when they completely wiped out Kid's crew, but here, being reunited, I can't wait to see Usopp's reaction. You know, I was a little disappointed. We didn't get as much of Franky as I thought we were going to get in Egghead. I thought we were going to have way more focus on Franky because, you know, Island of the Future and all that. But when it comes to Elbaf, there has to be a whole focus on Usopp. Usopp has been actually kind of on the back burner as of late. He didn't really do all that much in Wano. He didn't do that much here in Egghead. I mean, he wasn't in Whole Cake Island. The last, you understand, like, the last really, really big thing that Usopp has done in this story was become God, which, granted, that is kind of like, where do you go from there, honestly? But it was the moment at Dressrosa where he becomes God, and the whole thing where he knocks out Sugar and saves the day, unlocks Observation Haki. But since then, we haven't really had any great moments with Usopp. There were a couple in Wano that were like kind of funny, but there was nothing that was like big for his character. Now we finally have that. So I need to see like several chapters focused on Usopp in Elbaf. Like that's the whole point. But yeah, I think we're kind of winding down Egghead here. You know, somebody mentioned that they could see Egghead ending in like 10 chapters. I could see that too. I think I said something like maybe 10, 15 or so, but like 10 chapters, honestly, at this point, I could kind of see that because it is just an escape at the end of the day. It's not them trying to kill Saturn or kill Kizaru. They're just going to try to get out of the island while it gets Buster called and, you know, get as many people on that long ship as possible, right? So they could just chuck the Sunny on there, get everybody else on board, and just get out of there and just go straight to Elbaf. And I feel like the government is going to be a little hesitant. Even Saturn might be a little hesitant about just barging into Elbaf after them because it's the land of the giants, and we saw how powerful just 2 of them are right here with 1 boat. I don't even know if there's anybody else on the boat. I would assume there would be. Maybe Oimo and Kashi are with them. Maybe some other giants are with them. We still have Hiruden, who is the captain of the new Giant Warrior Pirates. So, you know, I think just barging into Elbaf and be like, we have to chase after them and get them and find Bonnie and Vegapunk and everybody and all the survivors. That's not a smart thing to do right after, you know? Well, anyway, that's the chapter. A lot of double-page spreads in this one. We got a break next week, so I'll see you back when we return and see where this is going because we are reaching the climax now of Egghead. Absolutely. Thanks for watching, everybody. This will be Tekking, signing out. Prepare for Elbaf. And make sure to go read your Vinland Saga. You have a homework assignment. Before Elbaf starts, I want everybody to have read Vinland Saga, damn it. All right. Later.